Alright, in this video we're going to look at how to draw a linear graph. There are examples here that you can read through in your own time. I'm not going to actually look through any of them. I'm going to skip, and I'm going to skip question 1 as well. Just skip to question 2 where you have to sketch the following graphs by finding the x and y intercepts. So let's look at the first one here. Now this question does state we have to find the x and the y intercepts. To sketch a graph you don't have to use the x and y intercepts, although it is the easiest way, and if you're still kind of remembering how to do it, it's probably the easiest way, yet there are other ways to do it which I will teach you as well. These first 6 equations you can see are already in the form y equals mx plus c, and then the last 6 are in what we call intercept form. So I'm going to show you first of all the first 6 you should really do using the gradient intercept method. So I'm going to show you both. Okay, so we'll do A here and then we'll do G. So A is y equals 3x minus 6, and let's just see quickly if I can move that, make that bigger. Come on. There we go, move it over there, might be easier. We can clear this because it's just hanging. Okay, so 3x minus 6. If we're finding the x-intercept, got to let y equal 0. And if you're finding the y-intercept, which we'll do next, you let x equals 0. And I'll just explain quickly why before we do it. And I'll draw a set of axes. Perhaps we'll draw it in the middle here. Okay, so this is your x-axis, this is your y-axis. Anywhere along this x-axis, y is equal to 0 because 0 is here. And anywhere on the y-axis, x is equal to 0 because it's passing through x at 0. So that explains why we do this. And the intercept just basically means where we cross the axes, where it intercepts. Okay, so the first one, we're going to let y equal 0. We've got 0 equals 3x minus 6. Now we've just got to solve for x. So we add 6 to both sides, equals 3x, and then divide both sides by 3 to cancel out that x, so x is equal to 2. If you're writing that as a point, remember it's 2, 0. So x equals 2, y equals 0. So let's put that on there. Alright, y-intercept, let x equals 0. I can already see from reading this that the x-intercept is going to be negative 6 because the equation is in the form y equals mx plus c, but let's go ahead and do it. So y equals 3 times 0 minus 6. So y is equal to, this becomes 0, so that cancels out, minus 6. So that point, remember we always do the x first, is 0 minus 6. So I didn't really do it, give myself enough space. That's okay. Oh, my neighbours are being very noisy. I don't know whether you can hear them. And there's your line there. So once we've got the 2 points, okay, we draw a straight line going through them. Alright, I'm going to clear that and show you another way of doing it. So the other way, we'll start off with our axes, and I'm going to draw a bigger one. And I know that it's going to be negative 6, so we'll just do that. Always get into the habit of labeling them x and y, although they're not always going to be x and y, and you'll see that as you progress. Okay, so the equation, so we're still working with A, is y equals 3x minus 6. I know the gradient is 3, and C being your y-intercept is negative 6. So what I do is say, alright, I already know my y-intercept is negative 6, and my gradient is 3. This basically means it's 3 over 1. So we're going up 3 and across 1. So what I can do here, and if I had a scale on there, it would be easier. So we go 1, 2, 3. So that's -5, -4, -3, and I'll write that on. And then we go across one to here, and that gives you the point. You don't have to write it on. Whoops, not negative. We'll write the x first. 1, -3. Now I'm going to do it in a different colour here, my straight line, although they're never really that straight. We'll do it in black. So your straight line goes through here and here. Okay, so to draw a straight line, all you need is 2 points. So you can find 2 points by using the gradient as well. Now the problem with that is usually we have to indicate what the x-intercept is, which you can actually work out if we go up another 3. I actually go from here. 1, 2, 3, we're up at 0, and across 1, we're at 2. Okay, so you could have done it that way as well. Maybe a little bit confusing doing it twice. So you can decide whether you want to find the x and y intercept or use the gradient intercept method to do it. If you've got an accurate scale and you're really good at drawing straight lines, then it doesn't really matter. Your line, if you did this point and this point here, should go through 2. Okay, now let's look at h. So h, oh sorry, do g. G is the first one. I'll write g. So we're looking at 3x plus 2y. Whoops, why did you go off? Don't press my button. 2y equals 12. Now, don't make the assumption that the number in front of the x is always going to be your gradient. In this case, it's not, because your equation has to be in the form y equals mx plus c for you to make the conclusion that that number is your gradient. And I can see here it's not in the form y equals mx plus c. But that doesn't matter because we're only finding the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So let's do x-intercept, that y equals 0. So we've got 3x plus 2 times 0 equals 12. And you'll notice what that 0 does is makes that disappear. So I've basically got 3x equals 12. Divide both sides by 3. Oops, that cancels out. So x is equal to 4. And I like to always get into the habit of writing it as a set of coordinates or as a point. So it's 4, 0. Now let's do the y-intercept. And we let x equal 0. So we're going to have 3 times 0 plus 2y equals 12. That cancels out because 3 times 0 or 0 times anything is going to be 0. So 2y equals 12. Divide both sides by 2. So that cancels out. So y is equal to 6, which is the point 0, 6. Remember we put the x first and then the y. Now I haven't really left much space to do my axes, but that's alright. Got a little bit of room here, so let's just quickly draw our lines. I'm going to call this x and this one y. Okay, let's do blue for our line. So you would hopefully have a nice set of axes. We have 4 and 6 here, and it's very hard to draw a straight line. There we go. And I always like to do, well, you should always do the arrows at the end of your lines, because if you don't have a restriction on that line, that just means it keeps going forever, and that means it keeps going forever. Alright, so you don't have to do all of these. Do some from the first 6 and some from the second lot of 6, just to get a hang of how to do it. But remember, the important thing is that you actually label your axes, put the arrows on the ends as well to indicate that it keeps going.